This is your 702.
Let's walk the talk this summer.
So there was pandemonium when the U.S. swooped in, really entering Venezuela. Those airstrikes were seen on Saturday. And, of course, that was followed by the capture of the president and his wife, who are appearing in a New York court this morning. But I do think that, after that, we then heard from the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, who, from what I was hearing and what I was seeing, was trying to take control of the situation as the vice president. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
No, as far as we know, this is the person in charge in Venezuela right now. This is Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. Again, she is demanding proof of life from the United States of President Maduro. This morning, the defense minister is saying the U.S. attacked civilians. Take a listen.
So far, the barbarity of the invading forces that have desecrated our sacred land in the towns of Fuerte Tiuna, Caracas, the states of Miranda, Aragua, and La Guaira, even impacting with their missiles and rockets fired from their combat helicopters in urban areas of civilian population, for which we are already gathering information regarding the wounded and dead.
So there was more that Rodriguez said, but basically, she was calling for proof of life, right? Because after the capture, no one knew what was going on, and it was unclear whether Maduro and his wife were still alive. In fact, Donald Trump at some point saying that they could have killed them. I mean, how outrageous is that? He said that they could have if they wanted to, and for some reason he thinks it's okay that he can capture the president of another country and do with them as he likes, because he thinks that president is wrong and has been wrong to his people and has been doing a poor job, a shoddy job. And I'm not sure that's how things work. In fact, I know that's not how things work. We then saw President Donald Trump addressing the country at his Palm Beach home at Mar-a-Lago, and he had a lot to say. Let's take a listen to some of what he said.
Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history.
Yep, that was a bit of his address, also speaking about how they're going to run the country. We're just going to take over. Joining me on the line for more on this story and to make sense of it all is Professor Hennie Strydom from the University of Johannesburg. He's a professor in international law. Prof, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, and to the listeners.
We've been trying to make sense of this all morning, Prof, and the listeners have really been weighing in on what's been happening in the U.S. and in Venezuela. But from an international law perspective, what can we make of this operation? I mean, Donald Trump calls it an operation, but what can we make of what's happened here? It is a capture of a president by Donald Trump. And he feels, it's all right because he's going to try him for all these crimes that he alleges he's committed.
Now, the way in which it was done is a clear violation of the United Nations Charter. There's no question about that. So it's a use of force against another country and against its sovereignty and independence. That is, no one is quarreling about that except the Trump administration, because they don't care about international law. I've never heard Trump or any of his staff surrounding him referring to international law in any of these actions that they take. But that is a clear legal position. The reasons which you mentioned, the drug trafficking and so on, are mere pretexts. None of that can justify the military action taken by the United States. The United States can only take this action when there is an imminent threat that it is being attacked by Venezuela, and that has not happened. So that is the legal position. We don't have to debate that anymore. I think the important thing to take into account is that even the pretext of the drug trafficking, Maduro's involvement, that the oil issue of 50 years ago, and so on, do not explain what the real reason is. The real reason is the new security strategy of the United States, published a couple of weeks ago. And it is clear that under this new strategy, the United States wants to take control of the Western Hemisphere, which includes South America, meaning it wants to keep other powerful states out of that sphere, like Russia and China. It wants to control what's going on there, and it wants to use it for its own benefit. Trump said so much in his statement on TV. He referred to the strategy and said that they want to expand their circle of friends in South America. And Maduro was not a friend of the United States. We know that. So he was an obstacle, and that's why he had to be removed.
Yeah. And I mean, we know that this is also Donald Trump sending a strong message, to the other countries, in that region. But what should we, as a continent, but also as a country, be making of this, particularly because of our turbulent, difficult relationships, a very rocky relationship that we've been having with the U.S.? Is this also a message for us?
I think it's a message for any country who's trying to obstruct American or undermine American interests. I'm not saying that America will, in all those cases where states react negatively to the United States policies and actions, will be treated in the same way that Venezuela has been treated now. But there may be other measures applied, like tariffs and economic and financial measures. But it makes it a very precarious world and a very dangerous world, where states like the United States of America, which is a powerful country and a permanent member of this United Nations Security Council, acts in this way. Another example is Russia, who militarily invaded Ukraine and conducted a war of aggression against a neighboring state. The action taken by the United States against Venezuela is not much different from that. It still accounts to or illustrate quite clearly and quite worrisomely a violation of the United Nations Charter.
Donald Trump has spoken about running Venezuela. I mean, what could he possibly do, and how could he possibly do that as the president of another country? I mean, would it be him sending boots on the ground, us seeing his troops in Venezuela? And how does that work in a country that already has a democratically elected vice president in Delcy Rodriguez?
Yeah, it's a very important question. I think that's the real issue facing us now for the immediate and longer-term future. We do not have any details about what he means by that. He just said that he made two statements. He said that we will run Venezuela, and we are working with the vice president. And then he added, which has agreed to cooperate. Now, where that was true or not, I don't know. So maybe it could mean one thing, or more than one thing. The one could be that he will sort of liaise with the current government, which has remained intact. He is not attacked or destroyed or taken over the government of Venezuela. So the idea may be for him to find some cooperation between the United States of America and the vice president and our government on the way forward, and to prepare. I think that's one of the ideas, to prepare the country for transition. Maybe through elections and so on, new elections, and electing a new president. If it is more than that, if it means that he will actually be in control of the running of Venezuela, then, and by force, maybe, then it's a military occupation and it's actually a military ousting of the government by force of Venezuela. And I think that if that happens, it is a very serious violation of an independent country's sovereignty and independence.
Yeah.
And I doubt that is what is on the cards.
The UN Security Council is going to be meeting today, on what's happened, and I think the UN has been described as a toothless dog, a powerless organization, powerless structure. What can we expect in terms of outcomes from that meeting?
Yeah, well, the United Nations has been undermined and reduced to almost nothing. I think it's mainly now a humanitarian aid organization. And it is states like the United States and Russia and China who have contributed to that through their veto that they used in the Security Council as the permanent members. So the matter will serve before the Security Council. And I can guarantee you that if there is being adopted a strongly worded condemnatory resolution, which the Security Council will have to debate, the United States will veto that. So it will go nowhere. So if some people hope that the Council may impose certain sanctions on the United States, it will simply not happen. In the same way that Russia used its veto to prevent the Security Council to act against its military invasion of Ukraine. So that is where the real problem lies with the action that the Security Council may take.
Something else that Trump said was that they're going to fix Venezuela's broken infrastructure and start making money for the country. Surely that's a glimpse of the real issue here, the fact that this is about oil. And it sounds to me that, we could even see exploitation of Venezuela's oil reserves.
It sounds like that, yeah. But I tell you, it's not the real reason. The real reason is what I've really mentioned. What this may be is collateral benefit for the United States. If it makes some kind of an arrangement with the current government to take over the oil industry, of course, the United States will benefit from that because it won't do it for free.
Yeah.
Just for the benefit of Venezuela and its citizens. Now, that will depend on the arrangement that will come about between the United States and the Venezuelan government on how this is going to be done. And if it's a fair arrangement, then maybe both could benefit from it. But we will have to see how this is going to be handled in the near future.
Yeah.
And it goes back many years. 50 years ago, American companies were building the infrastructure for oil exploration. And of course, they, like any company of that kind, they made money of it. And all of that was nationalized by the government at the time. And the American companies lost billions, and their infrastructure was destroyed. So, and it is, I think that thing is still in the mind, or in the back of the mind of Donald Trump. That's why he wants to fix it and get some returns of it. But that is speculation. We will have to see how this is going to develop.
And outside of the UN, how can the global community rally? Can the global community rally? I mean, we know we've got the G20, G7, and the fact that, those bodies can take a stance. But the global community, can other countries do anything?
Yeah, they will have to be consistent in their condemnation of this. Some of them have condemned Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. And one would expect them to also condemn this in the same measure. But it is not happening. If you look at European countries, they sort of very lukewarm on responding to it. So some say they will wait for more information and so on. It's because the United States is an ally of the European Union and of NATO, etc. The same, I haven't seen any strong responses by African countries. South Africa has just said, well, the Security Council let's get together and it's maybe an illegal action and action should be taken. So, but we have no consistency across the world from regional blocs and their members in their responses to this issue. And I think that's where the problem lies.
Let's play some voice notes and hear what some of our listeners have to say.
It's very sad that not even the United Nations can save the world from the feeding frenzy of apex predators like Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and their proxies all over the world, ravaging the carcass of democracy in a free-for-all like World War I, with dogs eating dogs to eat or be eaten. This can only be changed by decent Democrats of the kind who attended the G20 summit in South Africa last year. Democrats who are now being threatened by those predators. Yes, apex predators.
Kgomotso, I think South Africa, we must stay away from these big international affairs. Otherwise, we're going to put ourselves in a problem because of we are a small, poor country in Africa. Why we like always to talk too much regarding these issues? We are already in the problem because USA took the money from us. People are dying because of HIV because USA took the money. At the end, they will sanction us. We talk too much. Let's stay away from. Let's be like Nigeria, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Morocco. Those are powerful countries in Africa, and they don't talk like us. We talk too much.
Hi, Kgomotso and the team. My question to your guest is, what will happen if the courts in the United States rule against the United States or in favor of Maduro? Secondly, isn't that Trump should have taken him to the International Court? David in Parkwood.
Prof, strong sentiments and views that are expressed there, but maybe let's address that question.
Yeah, the question, I think, deals with a very important issue about the courts ruling in the United States on the Maduro case. There's a very interesting legal principle that may apply here, and that is when a kidnapping of this matter takes place, the courts of a country where he will be tried may not have jurisdiction. Let me give you a very good example. In South Africa's case, it would have meant, say South Africa has kidnapped somebody in some of the neighboring states in an unlawful way and brought it back home to stand trial. The South African courts will not have jurisdiction. This rule, there's a gray area around this rule in the United States of America. I think it will be raised by defense counsel, but whether it will succeed is an open question. So we will have to wait and see what is going to happen concerning this matter, which is a very important legal principle. The other question was why not take him to the international court. I do not know which court the person has in mind. He cannot go to the International Court of Justice because that court doesn't have jurisdiction over criminal matters. It only deals with conflicts between states and their responsibility. Then the other issue is why not taking him to the International Criminal Court as an option? Because the crimes leveled against Maduro do not fall within the jurisdiction of that court. That court deals with mass atrocities like war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and so on. So this is a domestic matter that must be dealt with under U.S. law, but that does not justify the way in which Maduro was captured in Venezuela.
Prof, thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate this, and I suppose we wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. Things lots will still develop in the course of time.
That's Professor Hennie Strydom from the University of Johannesburg. He's a professor in international law, helping us make sense of the events there in the U.S.